Talk Real Estate with Sharon McNamara, sponsored by Boston Connect Real Estate Services.
Hi, I'm Sharon McNamara, and you are listening to Talk Real Estate Roundtable. Let me share a little bit about my background before we get started. I am the broker-owner of Boston Connect Real Estate, a boutique real estate firm that is home to over 30 real estate sales and marketing consultants who service home buyers and home sellers throughout Boston, the South Shore, the South Coast, and Cape Cod. Our firm takes pride in assisting our clients in the next chapter of their lives by taking a holistic approach to their real estate endeavors. We believe that every move should be a moving experience. Every week, my real estate team member, Mary Baker, and I, along with the director of Boston Connect Real Estate, Melissa Wallace, provide you with our unique marketing approach to selling homes and share with you our expertise in navigating the home buying process. We like to mix it up sometimes, so not only will you hear our perspective on real estate topics, but you will hear the expert thoughts and opinions of some of our real estate agents at Boston Connect Real Estate and the preferred professionals that we trust. Be part of our roundtable. If you have any questions during the show, please call 781-837-4900. We'd love to talk real estate. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and wherever you listen to podcasts at Talk Real Estate Roundtable. If you would like a one-on-one consultation with me and my team or one of the dedicated agents at Boston Connect Real Estate to discuss your real estate needs, you can connect with us at bostonconnect.com or 781-826-8000. Now, sit back, relax, take good notes, and let's talk real estate.
And hello to all my South Shore neighbors. You are listening to Talk Real Estate Roundtable. My name is Melissa Wallace, and I am joined in studio live tonight with the one and only Kristen Howlett. Hello, Kristen.
Hello, Melissa.
Hello. I'm going to...
you know what I love about you?
What?
As soon as the...
I just switch personalities pretty
As
quickly.
soon as it's go time, you smile. Your smile goes through the radio.
Oh, wow. Can everybody see it? They're about to see it on Facebook because I'm about to go live. But, yeah, here's my smile, if you can hear it. Yeah, today's been a day. Today's been a day in real estate. But
I started the day off singing Proud Mary, and I'm telling you by from Dreamgirls on my way to the office, which always gets me in a good mood. And then it was just...
It's what?
After.
What, Dreamgirls?
And I am telling you. I'm not coming. You're
Maybe
the best man I ever. I wish I could sing.
Yeah, you might have to play that for me later because I have no idea what you're saying.
Anyway, it was it's not easy being a real estate agent these days.
It's not easy. But
you can tell that I had some.
We are live on Facebook. So if you follow Boston Connect Real Estate on Facebook, McNamara Broker Team, Kristen Howlett, Realtor, full-time Realtor here at Boston Connect Real Estate. You can find her on social media as well. We're waving to you. Hello. You can actually see our smiles now. But yeah, so you were in the office. We had an office meeting today. We had quite a few agents here. It was great to see some agents we haven't seen in a little bit, so it was good to catch up with them. Everyone's just sort of gearing up for what's to come. We're almost halfway through the year, so we're gearing up for the second half.
Which is good, and it's a little bit stressful at the same time.
Yeah,
because
that is true.
Yep,
that is true. But yeah, and then Sharon joked about, you and Tracy being so great with sort of last minute joining me. And then today she was like, Kristen, do you want to do the radio show? So here we are.
I can't get over on Facebook. Ava.
I know.
Ava
I think the lighting is not that great.
Well, also, Ava did, my daughter put self-tanning drops on my face, so I'm a little bit.
Oh, wow. I heard those like the new thing. Like you put like the self tanner in your lotion, like the drop things. I don't know that. I've never had a tan in my life, but here I am, as pale as can be. You can see me on Facebook. So tonight we are going to be talking about. We sort of discussed this, and I had talked to Sharon yesterday, and we were sort of brainstorming what we were going to talk about tonight, and I was like, why don't we just wait until after the office meeting, because something always comes up during the office meeting that we're going to talk about. So we did talk about sort of houses that are coming back on the market, meaning they had an accepted offer, something fell through, and now they're going back on the market. So everybody knows I do, I'm in charge of all the money here. I'm the money gal. And I've done some releases recently, and all our agents always tell me why the house is coming back on the market. So I have sort of that perspective, and then you have the perspective of, you're on the pavement. And you have buyers who are sort of interested in seeing some of these homes that are coming back on the market. So you have that sort of perspective that we're going to be talking about. Because it's not always negative.
It's not always negative.
No.
Yeah.
So this is going to be a positive show. This is educational. This is super positive. There's no need to be, afraid of a home that had an accepted offer, something fell through, because there's so many reasons why it could have gone that way. So we're just going to sort of jump into it. But, well, actually before, I know that you've joined me 1,000 times, but there might be somebody new listening tonight or watching us on Facebook. So why don't you take a moment to reintroduce yourself to all of our listeners and sort of talk about where you service, how long you've been in the industry, all that stuff.
So my name is Kristen Howlett. I am a full-time realtor at Boston Connect Real Estate. I service anywhere, pretty much anywhere.
In Massachusetts.
I know. Soon, I keep looking into getting licensed in Rhode Island. I heard it's easy, but it's kind of a process, which my brain can't handle that right now. But I will. I will be soon. Anyhow, I've been here for just over 5 years, and and I love what I do.
Yeah,
every minute of it.
Yeah, you join me quite often. So if you want to listen to any of Kristen's past shows, you can go to talkrealestateroundtable.com, or you can log into your podcast app or Spotify or anything like that. Wherever you listen to your podcast, Talk Real Estate Roundtable, or you can even search Kristen Howlett. I'm sure it pops up.
It does pop up. It's a good little marketing.
Yeah. And I hope you use that for your marketing.
Listen, I'm the marketing. I'm all about marketing this week. Mm-hmm. I'm hitting the ground running.
Yeah.
Doing some fun things. And
I'm wearing a red dress with a jean jacket, and I'm so pale that I look like I'm the American flag.
I thought it was so funny that Sharon and Kate, when they did their radio show, they both had their jean jackets on.
Oh, yeah, I know.
So Kate stepped right in where we all kind of always dress alike.
It's jean jacket season. Yeah, I know. I was away, so I couldn't match with anybody. I'm surprised we're not matching. We're usually matching every single day that we see each other. But yeah, so this sort of came up during our office meeting, and then when we were brainstorming upstairs for the show, it just sort of like clicked with me that I'm like, yeah, we need to be talking about this because it and I guess I could talk about it from a buyer's perspective as well, because I am a buyer in this market. And maybe it's because I'm also in the industry that, like, it doesn't freak me out or, like, scare me.
It actually gets me excited.
Yeah. I'm actually like, oh, I have another opportunity.
Yep.
Like,
that's the way, a missed opportunity.
A missed opportunity, which is, I want a missed opportunity. Like, I need that. I want my second chance.
Yeah.
And that's just coming from a buyer, and we've been talking about buyer fatigue and everything, and just being frustrated with how the market is right now as a buyer. So it's don't be afraid of anything that came back on the market. Ask the questions. And we'll get into the questions that you should be asking. You should be asking your agent, and that agent should be asking the listing agent if they're not the listing agent. So, I guess. Oh, look, have you been on the show since we started these segment things?
No, I like it.
No, okay. Yeah. So now, segment 1, financing. So that is a reason why a house could come back on the market. There, for some reason, the buyer's financing fell through. Can you sort of expand on that and how it's not necessarily a negative, or maybe it is a negative? What's your perspective on that? If for some reason the financing does not come through, what are some reasons why it wouldn't?
If the buyer can't get financing, sometimes maybe it's, the whole pre-approval thing is that, and I'm not a lender. I tell everybody I sell real estate. I'm not a lender. I don't install HVAC systems. I can just give you the lowdown. But typically a pre-approval is, most lenders, the people that we work with, will do a little bit more of a deep dive. But sometimes when they really pull all the paperwork and they start looking at things aren't always what they seem. Mm-hmm. So sometimes, and especially with the interest rates right now, and I know that's in segment to, but we'll touch upon it now. The interest rates are really up and down right now. And that can be, if somebody's at the top of their budget, that can really bump them out of the financing.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because today in our office, we had some conversations. I just had a pre-approval. I submitted an offer last night, and the pre-approval needed to be, I always like to get new updated ones just to make sure that everything's up to par.
Well, especially if a buyer is looking at the top of their budget.
Yeah. This wasn't really the top of their budget, but I just want it to, I want it to look nice and fresh and new, and make sure that things are, we're not going to have any issues.
Yeah.
And the lender came back and said, I'm putting this in as conventional, but I'm telling you that it would be, FHA is a much better way to go right now.
Oh.
So FHA rates, I think, are much lower.
So in that case, correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, so you put in the offer, you're going conventional according to your pre-approval, but then during the process you switch to FHA. You have to what is the process there? Like when you notify, you have to notify.
We talked about this today.
It changes your offer.
And FHA is a little bit more. There's FHA is still a great program and it's a great product, but it's a little bit stricter when it comes to appraisal. A little bit stricter. FHA appraisals are way more strict. There can't be any peeling paint. There has to be railings on. So as the listing agent, sometimes we look at it. There might be a home that you're like, oh, it's fine. We're gonna have no issues with FHA.
Yeah.
And there might be some that you're like, ooh, I'm a little, worried about what might happen. Going FHA and then switching over to conventional would probably be better. But I guess that's a conversation that you would have when you submit the offer. Listen, I'm putting it in, and I know that they're pre-approved on paper as conventional, but just letting you know, we heard that they might be better off going FHA. Just wanted to be upfront from the get-go. Communication is much better from the beginning, because you technically, if they're accepting your offer based on what you're presenting, and then you change the terms.
Yeah. You gotta get some sort of notice. You have to at least start their conversation,
right,
with the other side. But when it comes to a house coming back on the market because of financing, the buyer could maybe have had a hard time securing financing. So there's so many different.
Or we just
maybe they lost their job.
I was just gonna say because I'm I'm like, what happened?
Yeah.
And one was they lost their job. Another one recently was that they had a home sale contingency, and the house they had a couple extensions, and the house just didn't sell.
Yeah.
And another was, buyer financing fell through at the last minute.
Yeah. So were you representing a buyer who was interested in a house that had come back on the market?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. So that's what you should be doing. You should be, asking the question, hey, why is this house coming back on the market? It's not a strange question to ask.
My buyers are always like, oh my God, it just came back on. There must be something wrong. I'm like, nope, not necessarily.
And I've noticed that, like, sometimes listing agents will change the description, like in MLS, which is then carried to third-party sites. And it'll say, like, back on market due to buyer's cold feet, buyer's financing falling through, I don't know if they'd put home inspection. I don't know if they'd be that forward, but that's a reason why. But back to the financing, it's once they really do the deep dive into a buyer, even if they were like on the cusp, like, maybe they need a cosigner, like maybe they just didn't have an opportunity to get one or something, like, and they just didn't qualify for the loan anymore.
Well,
there's so many things that happen.
And Trish and I were talking today where I learned from her. So Trish Flynn is one of the best. So I always have this conversation with my buyers from the beginning. Where do you want to be monthly? Because that's really going to dictate. And sometimes they'll send me something that's over their budget or at the max. I'm like, can we really do this? If you have the conversation with the buyers from the get-go, then it's not a surprise. But we can't guarantee that all agents are doing that. So sometimes people are just going in blindly. And then once they do the deep dive and they see what their monthly is going to be, it's kind of like, oh, crap. We didn't know it was going to be that much.
Yeah.
So
I know. That's why, like, you know, I'm like staying clear of like the top of my. I'm like, no, I want to be like well under, because I mean, I've said this many times. You know, I was looking at houses that were $100,000 over where I'm looking at right now at the same price. It's the same monthly mortgage because of the interest rate. So you just don't know where you're going to end up until you end up there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, Jelly Bean?
Yeah, and you need some wiggle room, because we are in a we're still in a seller's market. It's super competitive. That's why we might be having a little bit of Prosecco in the afternoon.
Prosecco in the afternoon. Well, it's not afternoon anymore. It's 6:30.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
We are having a Prosecco.
But we need to, we're all a little stressed out.
Yeah. Another issue, or another reason why it could come back on the market, is they could have appraised sort of low. So if they got to the point in the process where an appraisal was done, it came in under where the buyer is purchasing the home, and they couldn't make up the difference, that could be a reason why it comes back on the market.
I think that that's important to point out, but I do believe that since COVID and all, we are much more savvy with that appraisal verbiage and the appraisal. We all got schooled in appraisals, and I think we all do a really good job of knowing if we're going to have an issue with appraisal, and if somebody, like Sharon talks about all the time, if somebody's offering over what your list price is, they need to show us the money.
Don't offer something that you can't afford. Yeah, I mean, you were a part of this conversation that I had about a purchase of myself. You know, you had come to a showing of mine with Sharon, and we're sort of brainstorming about my offer. And I could have offered more, but I did not see the value in that home. So I didn't think that it would appraise for what I could have gone up to, and I wasn't willing to bridge the gap.
Yeah.
With cash out of my pocket.
And I was worried that the agent would ask you to bridge the gap.
Yeah. Because the other option is for the seller to come down in the price to be where, where it came in at.
Which in a nice, healthy market, we could probably negotiate that. But in this market,
sometimes you meet in the middle. Sometimes, there's so many different strategies that we can come up with when it comes to appraisal and, money and stuff like that. But I'm just saying that as an example because you were a part of that, and that was just me. Yeah, I would love to get a house, but I'm not going to pay $30,000 out of pocket for a home that did not appraise. It's not, the value's not there.
Yeah.
Especially on a house that there was not much more you could do to it to gain more equity or value in the house. So
did I tell you that one of my recent closings, they went over and it appraised for more too.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
That's happened twice. It's a good one.
So have you had any recently that did not appraise?
No.
Oh.
No.
Good.
Yeah.
Interesting. Knock on wood. Yeah. Knock on my head.
Appraisals. And I do think, I also do think that we as agents have become, well, most of us have become very well versed in appraisals. I know there's a bunch of us in this office that have gone, I went to 2 classes, and it is kind of a thing that I'm a little bit obsessed with, is the appraisal. And as long as we do our work, we can't just throw a price on willy-nilly. You have to make sure that if it's going to appraise, that whatever you list it for, that you have appraisals, you have recently solds that will back that price up. And if somebody thinks it's worth more, then you've got to show me what you're going to do, because the seller is, chances are, not going to budge.
Yeah. Another reason why it could come back on the market when it comes to financing is contingencies. So if they have a contingency in their offer, such as they have a home to sell, so they have a home sale contingency, or it says we put in or satisfactory home inspection, but that doesn't have to do with financing really, unless they're not willing to pay for the repairs or anything. But we'll get to the home inspections later. But I would say that the big one is, they have a home sale contingency and it's just not selling. So that's a house that doesn't have an offer on it. So the buyer has a home to sell, or even the seller of the home has a home sale contingency. So they are trying to find suitable housing. So they're trying to find a house and they haven't been finding. The buyer has been patient, giving extension after extension. And, at a certain point, everyone's just got to decide, okay, are we going to close and you can go rent somewhere, or are we just going to back away?
Yeah.
And
again,
put your house on the market.
That's a very important conversation to have in the beginning. Anytime there is a home sale or suitable housing, if it's in MLS, I always call the agent and say, what's the deal? Do they want, because most people say, I still want to sell. I'm still very, I'm not, some people are like, no, if we can't sell, we're staying.
Yeah. I know of a scenario where somebody put a house on the market. They got multiple offers. They went with the offer. It was a over asking, and they gave them all the time in the world to find something. They were giving the seller all the time in the world to find something. Months had gone by, extension after extension. The buyer was like, I'm out. Like, I've given you enough time. House goes back on the market, goes back under agreement for more than it was on under before, but they don't want to give any time. They're like, no. Yeah. You've already put another buyer through it, so it's they got a better price, but they have no timeline.
So you have to talk about that from the get-go.
Yeah.
And as we're talking about this, I see we're also talking about ways to avoid going back on market, because there are ways. I mean, sometimes things are out of our control, but sometimes you can't control what's going to happen, but there are definitely conversations that you can have from the get-go that maybe makes that possibility not be such a surprise.
Well, since we're talking, I guess financing and interest rates sort of like go hand in hand, but with the rising interest rates, like say that you're a buyer and you haven't locked in a rate. You're purchasing a home, you haven't locked in a rate, but now the rate has increased and now you can't afford the house. So that's another reason why it could come back on the market.
Yes.
Yeah. You're agreeing with me? Yes. This is falling interest rates too. Yeah. So I mean, the interest rates are just sort of going up and down, and it's just important to continuously have an open dialogue with both your loan officer, making sure that your pre-approvals are up to date, and having open dialogue with your agent, because your agent will also be talking with your loan officer to make sure that, you're not looking at $1 million homes when you can afford $500,000 homes,
And I think what you just said is the most important part, like that you have to have an open conversation. All of these things are things that happen with every transaction, but there can't be any surprises. You've got to at least touch upon what I want to know everything.
Yeah.
I need to know, and then I need to know, like when I was having my kids, when I was pregnant with Jake, I talked to every single person that had had a baby. I'm like, what happened? Tell me everything. I need to know what's going to happen, because then when the things do happen, I'm like, oh, we can work through this. Yeah.
But that's why no matter what it is, whether it's real estate, relationships, friendships, anything, communication is key. Just communicate. Even if it's not good information, at least you know it.
Well, that was
not a surprise.
That was our talk today in the office, is sometimes, listen, it's unilateral. Is that the right word?
I don't know what you're trying to say.
You're the listing agent. I'm the buyer's agent, and a problem comes up. And if I'm texting you and you're not answering me,
it's probably.
And guess what? My brain starts going like, "Oh crap, what's happening? Oh my God, this is going to happen. This isn't going to work. Oh, my brain goes to the worst possible scenario.
Yeah.
So it could be just, "Hey, Kristen, I'm busy right now, getting my hair done. I'm doing this." But I think you're right. Communication is, you have to have that communication, whether it's with your agent, with your.
Yeah. And these are like everything that we've talked about, they're not bad reasons to come back on the market. I mean, if you think about it, none of them really have to, besides the appraisal, none of them really have to do with the actual home itself, and the appraisal is what the appraisal is. That's what sort of.
Oh wait, I do have one negative. Do you want to talk about it?
Yeah, can I get my thought out though?
Yeah, go.
Now I don't know what it is.
They're not negative.
Not
they
negative.
Have to do with the appraisal.
Oh, because the bank, the bank is saying this is what the house is worth, and it was the buyer that came in and said, I want to offer this much more if they went over asking. So, like, for instance, we always say, price the home in the condition that it's in, and you'll get that, maybe more, but that means somebody's coming in and saying that they think that it's worth more. You know what I mean?
Right.
What's the negative?
One of the negatives of a back on market recently was that the house smelled.
Oh, yeah. Well, Yeah.
It had gone back
but
on
they
market
didn't know
twice.
that when they went. Like,
They
how
did,
do you
but
not
I
know
think
if the house smelled when you were there?
I think they just couldn't get over it.
They couldn't get over how smelly it was. I just think of smelly cats.
And it smelled like a smelly cat, I guess.
no. Yeah.
So that would be buyer's remorse for
yeah,
smelly
we're
house.
getting to buyer's remorse with smelly house. Anything else for that section before we go on to sort of like home inspection and buyer's remorse?
I mean, I think it's all. Yeah, I think we talked about everything.
I mean, those aren't like really negative things.
No,
those are just very like
realistic.
It's very realistic reasons why a house can come back on the market, and it doesn't have to be stigmatized.
Nope.
I think that's the problem. Like, there's some sort of stigma with a house coming back on the market, meaning like, oh, there must be something wrong with it. We gotta find something. Like, no, like. The person lost their job. Poor them, you know, or
and I
just
think
didn't appraise.
Something else that's definitely worth mentioning is if the listing agent. So say you have multiple offers and you originally go with an offer, and it ends up falling through. Well, the first thing you're going to do as a listing agent is go back to your other offers.
Yeah.
And see if you can kind of put it back together without it falling apart. Mm-hmm. And sometimes your seller, I mean, let's face it, we can only guide our sellers, and sometimes our sellers will say, oh no, I'm fine to go back on market. Let's, and sometimes it works out in the end, and you get a higher offer and a better offer, and that's why it's important to kind of go through the offers with a fine-tooth comb. Like I run my offers by you, or we all sit down, and sometimes, you need to get it from different perspectives, that your highest offer isn't always your best offer. Yeah.
And it's super important to know, when you're a seller, to know what the most important thing that you're looking for. So is it the price? Because it's not always the price. It's sometimes, if you do need time to find something, that's what you're looking for. You're looking for somebody who's going to give you time. Obviously, everybody wants money. Everyone wants to sell their house for whatever. But it's got to come with the other stuff, too.
I just thought of an interesting thing, too, and I have to write it down because we'll talk about it.
Well, you can say it now.
Well, no, it kind of doesn't.
We can bounce around.
Well, I was going to say that, so here's an interesting tidbit. Sometimes you put a house on, you do your comps, and you put it on for a price you think is a fair market value price, and you get 10 offers, and 9 of them are $25,000 over. A lot of times, you will see the list agent raise the price when they go back on market.
Yeah.
Because they've seen that...
we have a little guest.
Secret.
Guest.
We have seen that, so the offers told them.
Yeah. I don't love that.
I don't love it either, but listen, they do it.
I don't love that. And I won't do it. I mean, that to me is like, okay, yeah, we got, say that you put the house on the market for $300 and someone offered $350, it fell through, so then you're going to go back on the market for $350. But like, okay, so that was your top offer. So now you're expecting everybody else to come in at least at $350 or more. Well, what if it's not?
It's a
risk.
The
market can shift at an instant.
It's like playing poker.
It's like playing poker.
But I'm saying that does happen. We do see that. We do see all of a sudden that arrow's pointing upwards.
Yeah, I know. I see
like,
that every
what the
so
hell is
often.
going
And whenever I see that arrow pointing upwards, meaning there's been a price change that has been upwards, I always click on it. I'm like, why? That's what I question. I don't question, why a house comes back on the market. I question why you raised your price when it's like a resale. I get for like new construction that happens.
I have a face for radio tonight.
That happens with like the price of lumber and just like everything, the cost of building a home and whatnot. But when the resales, when they go up in price, I'm like, huh?
How do you feel about that? When a back on market and it has the upward arrow.
The upward arrow.
Because it happens though, right?
Sharon's shaking her head. Sharon McNamara is here. She is the broker owner of Boston Connect Real Estate.
She's refreshing her.
Also the co-host of Talk Real Estate Roundtable, but she's been upstairs zooming away and doing real estate. Now she's helping herself to some Prosecco. Although you look a little confused.
It's been one of those days.
It's been a day for
one
sure.
One of those days.
It's been one of those
when
days.
you want to be all alone.
Hi,
Just
George.
one of them days.
George, Sharon says hi.
Yep.
All right, so wait, can we go to the most important?
But hold on one second. If anybody has any questions, or if anybody out there is listening to us, just let us know. Call George at the studio, 781-837-4900. Again, we are live on Facebook, so if you want to talk to us there because you're a little shy, give us a little holler on Facebook.
Holla.
Comment on our live. Let us know that you're there.
That's it.
And I'm like overheating now. I want to take this jacket off. All right, what were you saying?
I was going to say, that just made me think, because every time I send you a little note in dot loop, I say, holla.
Holla. Yeah, you always say holla, and then you hit enter, which you're not supposed to hit enter because it just sends me an email that says holla.
I'm a quick hitter.
Holla. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so buyer's remorse. So let's get into that. We have the section inspection. So yes, this could be a negative of why something comes in the market, but again, it really is sort of like discretion. I don't know how do I put this. What might be a big deal to somebody might not be a big deal to another. So it's also
and I
important
also feel like this segment number 3, Julia hit it. This should have been number
segment
1. Because I feel like in this market, this is number 1. Because we talked about this today at our meeting, and I do feel like the buyers are still in that fight or flight, like manic stage.
Yeah.
Everybody is still, I mean, listen.
Well, okay, so this is buyer's remorse, not necessarily inspection.
I know, but what I'm saying is buyer's remorse. So therefore, they're going in all in on an offer.
Yeah.
Without really thinking it through.
Yeah.
They're like, oh my God, I want this house. I really want it. And they're not really thinking it through. But then when they have time to kind of look at it, they're like, maybe we did overbid on that. Maybe we shouldn't have gone in so high. And I think we are seeing a lot of that, which again is a conversation with your buyer. Bring them, back down to reality.
Yeah.
Do you really want to put this offer in for that? If you do, I'll back you. If you don't,
Yeah, I would say, just be confident in the offer that you're putting in. This is like the most important decision that you are going to be making this year, I promise you. You do not want to have remorse afterwards because you're not going to be able to enjoy it. I mean, maybe you can, but I know I wouldn't be able to.
Well, I think what's happening is the buyer's remorse is causing them to back out. We heard that twice today.
Yeah.
We heard today about an offer, like I stole the term from my cousin who's in Canada, and they do these bully offers, which is like a high, great offer, and you put it in saying, okay, will you not go do an open house this weekend? Will you accept this? And it was accepted. And then they decided that they didn't want to go through with it.
Yeah.
So we are seeing that. I think that people are quick to jump, and they're jumping, and then they're thinking.
I think also when it comes to condos, because there's like a little bit more to purchasing a condo. There's some documents that you have to go through, whether it's the condo docs, HOA, like really wrapping your head around those things. When you have a moment to sort of sit down and really go through them, there might be things that you're not comfortable with, and that's the reason why, you're backing out. So, that's the difference between say you have, there's some condos, and even like new construction developments that have HOAs and stuff. There's like some regulations where like you can't have a work van and stuff like that. But like you would know that if you go through, which, listing agents should be providing some of these documents like for potential buyers to be looking at. But if for some reason they don't look at them or they're not provided, they're using that sort of stuff like that. That's just an example. Yeah. Sometimes it's like, you can't paint your front door. Well, I don't like the color red or whatever. Right. I don't want, this. There's, certain regulations that, or rules and regulations that condos have that, buyers just don't want to deal with, whether it's a parking issue or trash or I don't know, whatever. Yeah. They want to be able to. But that's why when you put in an offer on a condo, you should be putting in
subject to. I always do subject to receipt and review of Aldo condo documentation and meeting notes and
satisfactory.
Whatever.
Yeah. Because what if you're not satisfied?
Yeah, that's true.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
So that could be, a reason why a buyer backs out. But again, somebody who might have one vehicle, it won't matter. Like the parking won't really matter to them because they don't need 10 parking spaces.
If you have a great agent, they're going to ask that question for you.
Yeah.
That's why you should reach out to me.
Reach out to Kristen Howlett, full-time realtor.
And I did do a little bit of research for our impromptu tonight.
Impromptu, even though we've been planning this for 5 hours.
As of this past week, there were 69 back on markets in the MLS PIN. That's all of Massachusetts.
Okay.
48 were single families and 21 were condos.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised.
Technically, I should have probably, Trish had a good point.
You should have called all 69 of them to see what the reason was.
Last year, to see what the number was like last year. But I'm not that savvy with the reports.
Well, I think we're really talking about it. Again, it did come up in our office meeting. We try to get, some tidbits from that and bring it to the radio show because this is real time to us and we're talking real estate. But, there is this stigma with sort of, wanting to know why a property comes back on the market, and don't be afraid to ask the question.
Yeah,
because it's not always bad. Sometimes it's good.
Yeah,
which I don't know if I call it good, but sometimes it's just not again, what's a big deal to somebody might not be a big deal to somebody else. Somebody might be purchasing a property as an investment and they're going to come in and they're going to spruce it up a little bit and rent it out, so it won't matter. Some of these things won't matter to them. But so that's sort of a change of heart. Maybe they have a shift in priorities, or they, maybe they even found something else that they like. That's a reason why people back out too.
Or something comes on. I mean, that's happening. That something comes on that they like a little bit better. I mean, that's a...
Yeah, that happens. There are people out there that are putting offers on homes, multiple homes at the same time.
Yeah.
That some people are doing that.
Yeah.
And if one thing gets accepted, then they pull the other ones. But
I think the ethical part of me wants to say that if anyone is considering putting an offer in on a home, then just really think about not just your reasons, but if you're kind of on the fence about putting in the offer, think about the ramifications for if somebody's trying to sell and then they have to go back on market, that even though we're saying that it's not a negative thing, there are other, what am I trying to say? If somebody has it can really cause some friction.
Yeah, some friction.
So make sure that, if you want to put an offer in, great. If it's something that you're just maybe I'll just throw the offer in just to see what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Well, putting that offer in, there's a really good chance that it could be accepted.
Yeah.
And the effect of your offer getting accepted to other people, because it's not just you and your checkbook, it's other people. So just be cognizant of that.
That is true. So that's a change of heart. Nice. Let's see. Emotional factors. Buying a home is a significant decision. Yeah. So, it's emotional. It's an emotional purchase. It's not just, buying a car or something like that. This is a home. This is where you're going to be living. This is, whatever lifestyle you have, this is where you're going to be living it. So,
and in this day and age, we have Google Maps, we have cars.
And people feel rushed too.
Yeah, and you shouldn't feel rushed. That's what I'm saying. You should not. It is it's the biggest financial decision probably you're going to make in your life. Yeah. So take your time and do it, and don't feel the pressure of, having to do it just because. I'm a big believer. Everything always works out.
Yeah.
Even when it
we will talk about inspections. So if you do have an inspection, if a buyer does have a home inspection, and there might be something that goes on. So I would say that people generally walk away from after a home inspection once something big comes up that they weren't really aware of beforehand. Yeah. So whether it's a structural issue, that would be a big thing for me if structurally, because I wouldn't want to take on the cost, not as a full-time, a first-time home buyer, I wouldn't want to take on the cost of something structurally being wrong with a home.
And that's understandable.
But yeah, so I would say that like anything that's like initially not apparent to a buyer, because again, they could be rushing through the home. They could only see it once before a home inspection. There are things that just are hidden and sort of unknown. You go into the attic and you see mold or something, and like they're one buyer might be totally freaked out by mold and just doesn't want to even deal with that. Another buyer might be like, all right, we'll remediate it.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving forward.
Yep.
Yep.
But that's, what the important thing about that too is, as a buyer, it is your right to have a home inspection, and you should have a home inspection. And if something comes up that makes you feel uncomfortable, then you should be able to back out and have a change of heart because of the inspection results, because it's an emotional factor.
Yeah, I would say that.
Did you see I wrapped them all up in one?
It did. That was a nice bow. I would say that, buyers might feel overwhelmed by like the financial burden of any like necessary repairs that they have to do right away.
But you can always negotiate.
There are some things that are left. Like I would say that, appliances like washer, dryer, refrigerator are usually like left out of MLS to use as like negotiation tools, unless the seller really
I do that.
Yeah,
I never put the washer and dryer in up front.
Yeah,
because it's a good
yeah. Do you generally have people ask for them?
I do ask for them.
Yeah. What about as a listing agent? Do you have people ask for yours?
What do you mean?
Like a buyer will put in an offer and they include them?
Not usually.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, we have 5 minutes left.
So I do want to talk about the benefits of the positives. As I'm really heavy with buyers right now, so when, of course, I'm like obsessed with MLS, I feel like I look at it in the morning, I look at it every 5 minutes during the day to see what's come on because I don't want to miss anything. But when I see it back on market that's a good match for one of my buyers, I call them immediately and I say, this one came back on market. My feeling is we can swoop in. And hopefully, and sometimes it does. I mean, it hasn't.
Well, you said earlier in the show that if the house had multiple offers, they're probably going back to the other offers that they already received to see if they're still interested in the property too. So if the house like comes back on the market, like it's BOM in MLS. That's a great opportunity for a buyer who missed out to
and especially if it's been like a substantial amount of time. If we're talking about getting to purchase and sale, it could be a couple of weeks that it's been off market.
Yeah.
But if it's buyer remorse and it's only a couple of days, yes, their chances are they're going to go back to the offers as backup offers, which is also a good point too. I always encourage my buyers, let's submit an offer because things do come back on market, and if we have submitted a good offer, we could be a great backup. So we're already kind of in place to swoop in. But as far as if you haven't submitted an offer, it is a great opportunity to kind of get in and say so I call the listing agent, I say, what is the buyer's situation? What are they looking for? The seller's situation, I'm sorry. And, you can, chances are, if you've already seen it or you can get right in, a lot of time I bring my computer and we'll write an offer right there.
Yeah.
And submit it. And hopefully, the seller is apt to, if it's a competitive offer, maybe they'll offer it they'll accept it right there, and then we don't have much competition.
Yeah. But again, you're asking the question, why, you want to know why the property is coming back on the market or did come back on the market. So, and there are things that come up in a home inspection that are disclosable. So if there are structural issues, there are mold, there is, I don't know, other stuff, maybe they hadn't done the Title V and the Title V came in and it failed.
Oh.
And there's so many different scenarios, but these are things that are disclosable. So like if it does come back on the market, there's the seller and the listing agent are supposed to be honest about that. But those things are what's going on in the house.
Right.
You know what I mean? We have like 2 minutes left, but I want to make sure that you have a moment to give your contact information to everybody who wants to.
I'm having a major hot flash.
Me too. I'm like ready to end this. I need to go outside. It might be raining though. Okay, give everybody your contact information. How can people get in touch with you?
They can call me hit me up on the cell phone, 617-448-4896. You can...
give that number one more time.
617-448-4896. You can email me at kristen@bostonconnect.com. You can follow my Facebook, Kristen Howlett Realtor. You can Instagram me. I'm not on TikTok, but maybe soon. Or you can just come in the office.
Yeah.
Stop in.
Yeah, you can come in, stop in the office. You're here all the time. So if you didn't catch any of that, you can go to bostonconnect.com, find all of her contact information. You can call us here at the office, 781-826-8000. We are moving our yard sale. We talked about this last week.
Yes, we did.
We're moving our yard sale to July 15th, right? Yeah. It's a Saturday. So, but we have an ice cream social happening too. So we'll talk about that maybe on Saturday. We have so much going on. So thank you so much for listening, everybody. And thank you, Kristen, for joining me tonight. Impromptu Prosecco date live on air. But again, if you want to listen to any of our past shows, talkrealestateroundtable.com or go to your podcast app. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye, George.
Take care.